Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. So lately I've been seeing some reports about Warner Brothers games wanting to be sold by AT&T, who is basically their kind of newly acquired parent company, because AT&T acquired Warner Media, and that includes a huge conglomerate of businesses. So we had seen some reports about DC Comics financially in some struggles, and just maybe not financial struggles, let me not say it that way, but probably going through some discussions or whatever. But all these are rumors. There's some truth and there are some factual analyses, but because of everything that we've heard so far, it just really makes data quite convoluted to be able to sieve through. And even these reports about AT&T wanting to sell, their Warner Brothers games is not confirmed from any official sources. It's basically rumors as well. I guess the question now that many of us have is what would happen to this Batman so-called game or whatever they're making in their studios that relates to superheroes or DC Comics. I think that's kind of where we are at an impasse. I don't know if this Batman game is still going to be something they're continuing. There have been reports about July 12th and August the 22nd or 24th about Warner Brothers wanting to do kind of a big digital event. This has been reported, but I haven't seen any confirmation from Warner Brothers themselves. I think they've actually put out something because even the movie industry actually, has gone with this reporting as well. But I'm not saying it's not out there. I'm just saying I haven't seen anything to that effect. Now, should I go ahead and start looking for it? I just feel like after a lot of following of reports and following confirmed or unconfirmed tweets from Warner Brothers Games Montreal, I'm a little exhausted. I would just wait for the reporting to kind of show up at this point and kind of put my thumb on games that are actually existing. If you think about it, there's a Spider-Man game, Miles Morales, that's going to be coming out. That's a standalone game by itself. Imagine that game DLC, and it's not crazy for a Batman fan to enjoy a game that was basically inspired by the Arkham games. If you go talk to Brian Intihar, who is the creator, and if you talk to the creative department, they will tell you that there were some expectations that they wanted to meet in Marvel's Spider-Man game on PS4 that were inspired from the Arkham games. So there's nothing wrong with enjoying a game from that school of thought. But I think it's also really important to speak about how this may have ended up at this point where a Batman game doesn't seem to be seriously being marketed, if you understand what I mean. Because think about it, this Spider-Man game is slated for holiday 2020, and whatever Warner Brothers might be working on regarding DC Comics will also be slated for holiday 2020 if it comes out this year. But the Spider-Man has already gotten some exposure, has already started creating some expectations and some hype, yet this whole game has basically kind of not been announced under any means. Now, I have some theories, but before then, let's kind of track through what's been going on that we know of, or that we have heard anyways, because it seems like we know nothing. So after Batman Arkham Knight was released, it seems like everybody went dark, and then there were all these cancellations reported. There were leaked artwork and all that stuff from some studios about possible games that would have come out. There were also leaked artworks as well, and concept art, and even some measure of footage about possible Superman games, about Warner Brothers kind of dabbling with that concept that finally got canned and canceled. Now, if you go back to the year that Arkham Knight was released, Stephen Hill, who is the producer of the Arkham Knight game and the head of the studio at Rocksteady, he said that he felt like that was the end of the road for them making any Batman games. And then we just recently got a report that actually Rocksteady had pitched a Superman game to Warner Brothers, but it was shelved and they passed on it. So I think they were probably trying to make a Superman game as a follow-up, but that passed, that was something that Warner Brothers did not intend to go through with. And it makes a lot of sense because of basically the fact that he said that was the end of the chapter for them. The second thing, the report, and then a third, all of the imprints of Superman in Batman Arkham Knight. I mean, literally, there's a big, huge LexCorp building. There are even the thugs talking about that freak in Metropolis in the conversations that you hear on the streets. And so I think they really did want to make a Superman game, but it just turned out that the publisher did not want to deal with that. And so that was something that got passed on. And so you had these decisions visions of a game from Warner Brothers Montreal that maybe had been canceled, potentially 2 games that they're working on right now, and then you have, even the Superman idea being canceled, probably restructured to be something else, and then in the middle of that, Warner Brothers getting sold to AT&T. Now you're seeing how this must have become much more complicated, and AT&T having basically never even, done anything that we know of about with gaming, is looking for a way to shed the, in their minds, the excess responsibility for them. This is a very, very critical situation. These developers have been working for a good part of their careers on whatever projects they've been working on in the studios, and because nothing has been confirmed, the lid has been put in all of this. I think it's starting to make sense why the lid was put in all of this stuff, because they probably don't want to deal with the financial ramifications and a marketing budget, and that's probably why they've been releasing their games the way that they have. If you think about Mortal Kombat 11 basically had like a 4-month window. It was revealed in December of 2018 and released in April of 2019. So yes, they can reveal this game in July 19th or August 20, whatever, but that only gives them about 4 months to December, September, October, November, and then December. But I'm thinking more like end of November or middle of November, when, around Thanksgiving is when we're going to be seeing a game like this. So that's actually much closer than the Mortal Kombat 11 window. And I think they're probably doing it, or they probably plan it that way to not have to spend a big marketing budget. They will spend some level of marketing, but I don't think they want to invest that kind of money right now, because if you think about the financial ramifications, I don't think AT&T wants to actually spend that kind of money on Warner Media. Now, another thing that may have also triggered this particular, maybe if it's true they want to sell it, is if you look at HBO Max, AT&T was probably looking at a way to kind of bring, something to the market that will probably be profitable for them. And I watched a video from a YouTube channel here called, I think, Mirror's Edge or Midnight's Edge or something. It's a channel that talks about the cinematic world. And they actually posited and created a strong case for their hypotheses that HBO Max is basically something that AT&T wanted to burst because Disney Plus was successful. And the reason we're seeing this, this announcement of the Snyder Cut was because they wanted to bring something to the table to attract fans and, people to subscribe to this new, subscription service. Now, there were reports that HBO Max fell flat, but I think it didn't perform as well as they wanted because they didn't really have anything to bring, whereas Disney Plus already had a lot of its Marvel IP, and then they dropped The Mandalorian, which was just epic, and they had a better plan. I just think it was a planning that made Disney much more stronger on the onset versus, HBO Max at the end. So I think HBO Max not meeting the expectations that they were wanting it to meet. And, yes, they got good reception about the announcement of the Snyder Cut, but announcements aren't going to bring people to pay for your service. Actually bringing out the product is what's going to make people pay for your service. So I think they probably are like, crud, until 2021, we're probably not going to see any profits, and we're going to have to shell out. I think the budget for the Snyder Cut to be played out is somewhere in the tens of millions or even more for them to get the actors back into play and actually, act out the Snyder Cut, because the Snyder Cut, yes, it's there, but they're going to have to do some reshoots and all that. And so that's probably what's going to cost money. So I can see them hemorrhaging cash from all kinds of sources, thinking about even Warner Brothers, who had been going, in some weird financial direction with losses, most likely losses on video releases or cinematic releases like Batman v Superman, Justice League. I think all of these has basically cascaded into a big corporation biting off much more than it can chew and trying to offload it. And then thinking about even the potential players that want to even pick up this slack, you're looking at EA, looking at Take-Two Interactive, and looking at Activision as potential buyers. Now, many people don't know these companies. Actually, Activision and EA have been in the business of taking on superhero games in the past. So they are potential buyers of this, and I think if AT&T is putting it on the market, I think one of them will acquire that franchise easily, and most likely maybe publish the game and then maybe convert the studio to what they want it to be. But I guess we can look at that in another video. Right now, I just think with everything that's happening, it's hit or miss. We're either going to get this game or they're probably going to go ahead and scrap it. But I'm hoping we'll get the game so that the developers can at least get compensated, you know, even with everything that's going on. I think even though the financial ramifications of a merger or a sale might be strange, at least if their work goes out, they will be, you know, they will have one more stripe on their, you know, on their badge or however you want to call it. And they can actually use this to, you know, find or source jobs within the industry. And God forbid that, you know, that's the worst case scenario, but I'm not hoping for the worst case scenario. In fact, I'm hoping for the best case scenario, that AT&T is no longer interested in actually selling and the game becomes profitable and everybody can kind of like, and they can see that this is a profitable arm of the business and actually keep it, but then now allow for the, you know, the developers to take their creative directions and fly with it for more profitability. But that's basically what I wanted to say in my video today. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for listening to the video and watching. We'll be talking more about this in the coming days. It's a really weird and strange time with everything going on in the world. And I just wanted to say, stay safe. Hopefully we'll talk in the next video. Peace out.